Hi guys, so in this video I want to talk about something that is very common I've noticed amongst people who are intellectual and gifted, because it's something I have seen a lot as well, which is that they tend to have intense, passionate admiration when it comes to people. That when they find people they love, they almost go insane. They almost can't live a life without them. You can call this kind of a sort of limerence or a sort of anxious attachment because of how intense they can be. And I'm talking about this from my own experience, and I think that a big factor of this is because these people, their inner worlds are typically not nurtured. So as someone who is highly sensitive and has many talents, I noticed that you are often not nurtured from a very young age. So you could have a very rich inner world, you could feel your emotions very deeply, but just the thing is that it is hard for an average parent to understand these things. And so what ends up happening is that when they get like even the slightest bit of attention or proof that they matter or any sort of affection or connection, especially from other people, it just makes these people go insane. And I want to talk about my personal experience of how I relate to this, which is that I remember this has happened many times over many friendships, but basically the same pattern keeps repeating where I tend to find someone I really like and I get close with them really fast, and I genuinely feel a good connection with them. And also, in this case, we're talking about genuinely healthy people. Like, they don't do anything wrong, there's no second guessing. This is a genuine friendship and a connection that I find, but it's just the reaction to this connection is extremely intense, and it happens every single time I find someone that I feel connected to in some way. And so, for example, I want to share how I went to United States in summer after I finished ninth grade. And I remember writing about this, how in the past I lived a life that's completely different from when I went there. So I remember feeling like the people around me were really obnoxious at first, but then I enjoyed it later on because this is something I've actually been craving my whole life. In school, I was very reserved. I think I still sometimes am for the same reason, which is that I don't really feel understood by many people. But I would have been very reserved. I was super closed off. And then once I went to the US, it was whole explosion of personality, and I was just so happy there, and I was just a completely different person there. And I remember just loving everyone there, and I think to this day, it's after a full year or two, I just became obsessed with these people. After I left, I just did not want to engage with my everyday life, and then this happened again the year after, where I literally begged my parents. I cried all month of July just so I can see these people in um, in the summer in August. And then again, the same thing happened where I went there, had a lot of fun again, and there was a lot of connection. Specifically, was what happened there the most. There was a lot of connection, and it was just so fulfilling to be around a community of people that actually are related to you, right? These are my family members and relatives I was visiting, and my cousins, and it just makes you feel so connected and like you matter, right? Because with the current personality I have, I am often very a deep thinker, and not many people resonate with what I say. I'm actually quite annoying to a lot of my peers because I say a lot of out of the box thinking, you could say, right? And so that's how I did that. And then when I went there, it was no, who I am is appreciated. People would compliment me, my friends and family would be like, wow, she's so tall, she's so beautiful. Back home, not back home, my mom's side especially, a female being 164 centimeters is quite tall compared to everyone else being 150 centimeters on average. And so I was just getting compliments all the time, right? And then I remember talking to my counselor about this, and she said, wow, okay, this is definitely like an unmet need. And then since then, I'm like, wow, everything makes so much sense. And it's true, like this intensity just comes from I felt kind of misunderstood my whole life. And I felt like I could not connect with anyone my whole life. I don't know why. I would just sit in a room since grade 9 and just feel like the people around me are not up to me, like cannot connect to me in the way that I want it. And so when you get this contrast of actual fun and fulfillment and connection, and there's that sense of belonging, right? You turn into a different person. Like literally, I was so happy and I just kept thinking about them all the time after my trips. And then I noticed this pattern would happen again when it came to my friends. Like I had a really great exchange friend I met last year, and to this day, I'm still very, very thankful for them. Um, but basically, they saw the intellectual side of me, and they were able to actually engage with it. And I think it was really scary at first because I had to open myself up, and I'm not someone who opens up that much typically. And so I had to open myself up. I had to talk about what I believe and my perspectives, and that was a really vulnerable thing to do because I'm dismissed about it, right? Oftentimes, like I'm dismissed, even with my parents. Like to this day, like whenever I share big ideas and beliefs of mine, they just kind of, oh, okay, they kind of dismiss it. They kind of don't really know what to do with it. Not that they hate it, they just do not know how to handle these things. And so when I had my exchange friend, I remember just being a different person again. Like I think to this day, I'm still very obsessed with them for the same reason, right? And I also want to connect this to kind of real world example here, English class. um, when I have like an artist I listen to called The Mariahs, and clearly her songs have a theme and a pattern of not feeling seen and not feeling noticed. And this is a result of having a very rich, complex inner world, along with a little bit of early experience of trauma and not belonging, from what I've heard. She has a Puerto Rican background, but she grew up elsewhere. I think it was the United States or something. I don't remember. But basically, to this day, she struggles with feeling Spanish enough or US enough. It's kind of like she's none. And so even when she does her songs in both languages, she still kind of doesn't feel quite anything. And so with her, I noticed that she, loves deeply. She seems like a great human being, but she writes these really sad songs that are an expression of her. And she feels very deeply for her partner, her ex now. And it comes from like lots of, I think, feeling unseen, right? And this can often come as intensity in a lot of ways. So there's that. How I think I noticed that a lot of people do experience intensity to other people as a result of unmet needs. And I think that's not talked about enough. Um, and I think that's really helpful for me to know as well. Like, every time I obsess over someone, right, it is because I have never been recognized. And so when I do get recognized, like, it feels like someone's actually talking my language, right? Like, I'm around people who speak English all day, but when I'm with people who actually speak intellectual language and actually speak in ideas, like, that is when I feel most lit up, you could say, and the deepest connections. And I tend to be very intense in these relationships as well. Like, I did have a lot of nonstop like contacting. I did have a lot of like repeatedly in these situations. Like I contact these people nonstop. With US, I remember some days the last year, some days it would be so bad that I would sit in class and I wouldn't want to do anything but think about them. And that's actually all I would do. Like I would sit in class and I wouldn't want to do anything but just think about them and what I would do with them. And all I could think about is just my next flight. And it's because of that unmet need of, you know, your presence matters, right? And so that's what I wanted to share today, how intensity comes from that. And yeah, let me know what you think and have a good rest of your day.